My best friend and I got pregnant at the same time. She was carrying the child of her movie star ex-boyfriend, and I was pregnant with the baby of a powerful Hong Kong tycoon. Since neither man seemed to want these children, my friend Nora suggested, "Why don't we just cut the dads out of the picture and raise the babies ourselves?" "Deal," I said. "Wherever you go, I go." So we both packed our bags and our baby bumps and ran off to another country, starting a happy new life together, until 2 years later, when Nora's son went viral on social media for looking exactly like the famous actor. The camera panned, capturing me and my daughter in the shot. That night, my bar was surrounded by men in black suits. As I reached for my phone to call the police, my hands were bound behind my back with a leather belt. A man gripped my waist, his voice a low, dangerous growl in my ear. "What's the cruelest thing done to you in the name of love? Tell me below." "First, the heart breaks, then, karma breaks them." "Go on, call them," he whispered, "but you have to wonder, before the police get here, how many times do you think I can ruin you?" It all started when Nora, heartbroken over her latest breakup, dragged me to a bar for a night out. Her hands were just about to graze the chiseled abs of a male model when the movie star himself, Leo, appeared at the door, wearing a baseball cap pulled low. Leo stormed over, pointing at the model who bore a striking resemblance to him. "Who is he?" "Nora. Is he my replacement?" Nora glanced up, a cold smirk on her lips. "Why not? You used me as a stand-in for Serena, so why can't I find someone to replace you? Besides, your precious family heirloom is already on someone else's wrist." Leo was speechless. "I told you," he said, his voice weak. "I didn't give her that bracelet." "Fine," Nora challenged, "then go get it back." The silence that followed was deafening, making the bar's noise seem distant. After a long moment, Leo sighed in defeat. "I'm sorry, I can't," even though she had expected it. Nora's composure cracked, her eyes turned red as she grabbed her bag. After a quick nod to me, she strode out of the bar on her high heels. Leo gave me a small nod and chased after her, remembering how easily he'd won her back before. I shouted, "Nora, don't you dare go soft on him. This is a matter of principle. It has to be over this time." My throat was raw from shouting. A hand with long, elegant fingers offered me a slice of watermelon. I admired the hand, thinking this model was certainly attentive. I turned with a smile. "Hey there, what's your name?" My smile froze. Standing before me was a handsome, familiar face that turned my blood to ice. The models at our table were gone, replaced by the solitary figure of Adrian Shaw. His features were sharp, his jawline defined, and his eyes stared at me as if they were filled with shards of ice. I stumbled back, but he grabbed my wrist. A humorless smile played on his lips. "You like younger men?" he asked. "Fine. I have some younger brothers at home. I'll let you look your fill." That night, Adrian pushed me against the floor, too, ceiling glass window of his penthouse overlooking Victoria Harbor, and took me until dawn. This was prime real estate, a place I could never have entered if not for him, but I was not his girlfriend. At best, I was his canary. In my first year as an actress, a director tried to force himself on me. I refused his advances at a dinner, but he grew more aggressive. Just as his hand was about to slip under my skirt, Adrian appeared. He saved me with a single, understated sentence. He was a towering figure in the Hong Kong entertainment world. I was a nobody. Adrian's pursuit was subtle, with no grand romantic gestures, but he protected me at every turn. Combined with a face that could rival any star's, it was impossible not to develop feelings. But I knew my place. A canary is not a girlfriend. I understood that there was no future for us and that, eventually, I would have to leave. "Your mind is wandering again." To punish my inattention, Adrian's movements grew rougher. "What are you thinking about?" "Your younger men," I cried out, my nails digging into his arm as I shook my head. My denial didn't satisfy him. He turned me around to face him. "Even if you're not, you'll take it." Later, after the storm had passed, he carried me to the bathtub, holding me in his arms. In the quiet aftermath, I finally asked, "I heard your older sister, Victoria, is back in town?" "Yes." Adrian was always close to his sister. She managed most of the family's affairs. More importantly, she had supposedly brought a woman back with her. The woman Adrian was meant to marry in an arranged alliance. "Can I meet her?" I asked tentatively. His eyes, which had been closed, snapped open. He studied me for a long moment before answering coldly, "There's no need." Of course, the canary wasn't fit to meet the family. I hid my disappointment with a smile. Okay. That night, Nora never called. The next day, I got a simple text. "Don't worry, we didn't get back together." A month later, Both our periods were late. A trip to the doctor and 2 ultrasound reports confirmed our fears. We stared at the words, "Pregnancy confirmed," in stunned silence. Nora snatched my report. "We had a deal. You get the resources you need and then you break up with him. You didn't use protection." "I did," I protested. Then my voice dropped. "But, that night with the window, it might have broken." Nora rolled her eyes. Now it was my turn. I grabbed her report. "And you don't even have a boyfriend. Who's the father?" She blinked, avoiding my gaze. "Leo's," she mumbled. "Whose?" I thought I'd misheard. She took a deep breath and yelled in my ear. "My ex-boyfriend, Leo's." Okay, you don't have to shout," I grumbled. Nora had broken up with Leo, who had his own supposed first love, Serena, and I was the hidden mistress of a tycoon whose fiancé had just returned to the country. We looked at each other and sighed. It was clear neither of these men would want these children. "So," Nora said, grabbing my hand, "why don't we just cut the dads out and keep the babies?" I thought about it. Okay, Adrian's been generous over the years, and with my acting money, we can afford a villa abroad. 1 villa, 2 moms, 2 babies, a cat, and a dog. It's the retirement plan we always dreamed of. We decided to leave immediately. It was easy for Nora since she no longer lived with Leo. For me, it was more complicated. I spent weeks looking for the right moment to end things, but it never came. Then, one night, Adrian came home drunk, leaning heavily on a beautiful woman. I recognized her from the photos of Victoria's return. "Isabel, Adrian's intended fiancée." "Hello, you must be Stella," she said with a kind smile. "Adrian had too much to drink, so I brought him home." She seemed to know everything about my arrangement with him. I forced a smile and helped Adrian to the sofa. Isabel didn't leave. She looked around the apartment. "Could I have a glass of water?" As I went to the kitchen, she chatted casually. "I hear you've been taking care of Adrian while I was abroad." "Thank you. I've seen your films. It can't be easy for a woman to make it in this industry without connections. Victoria and I both admire you." She paused. "She mentioned wanting to invite you to a family dinner soon. Did Adrian tell you?" My hand froze mid-air. I turned to face her. There was no mockery in her eyes, no flaunting of her status. There was only the quiet confidence of the true mistress of the Shaw family. A confidence I knew I could never possess, no matter how long I stayed by Adrian's side. In that moment, I knew it was time to go. That night, while Adrian slept, I packed my few belongings. I left behind all the expensive gifts he'd given me, taking only a woven bracelet we had gotten together on a trip, one for each of us, for peace and safety. I had always wondered how to say goodbye, but perhaps a face, too. Face farewell wasn't necessary. He looked just as stunning as the day I first met him. He always thought he was the one who pursued me, but he never knew it was love at first sight for me, too. I sent him one last text. "The world is wide. Let's never meet again." Then I blocked his number. "Adrian," I thought, "I wish you a life of peace and safety." 3 years later, Nora and I were living in Australia. We both had healthy babies. Her son's name was Max, and my daughter's was Ruby. When they turned 3, Nora started a social media account sharing their cute moments, never showing her own face. I opened a bar. Life was good. We had money, free time, and my bar was full of cute young men. Then, a comment appeared on Nora's account. "Is it just me, or does this kid, Max, look exactly like the actor Leo?" Someone dug up an old childhood photo of Leo, and the internet exploded. They weren't just similar, they were identical. Max became an overnight sensation. People started tagging Leo online, and someone asked Nora, "Who is the father?" Nora, ever the smart aleck, replied, "He doesn't have one." Parthenogenesis. When people started accusing her of being a homewrecker, she retorted, "If you knew who his father was, you'd think I was the unlucky one." A second later, an account with Leo's name and photo replied directly to her. "Are you sure about that?" Nora panicked. Nora deleted everything and set her account to private. That night, she rushed to my bar, terrified that Leo would find them and take Max away. I told her to calm down, that Australia was a big country and he couldn't possibly find them from a few videos. The next day, we were out with the kids when a street interviewer stopped us. Recognizing Max, we quickly declined and hurried away, but a video of the encounter still ended up online. It clearly showed Max, and by extension, me and Ruby. Wow. He looks even more like Leo in this. Maybe it's his secret love child. Celebrity scandals are so common. That other little girl is so beautiful, and her mom looks familiar. Is she an actress? The speculation was getting out of control. "Let's move," I told Nora. This bar isn't doing great anyway. Okay, she said. Wherever you go, I go. I put the bar up for sale, and someone contacted me that same day, arranging to meet that night, but they never showed up. As I was closing up, a strange feeling washed over me. The bar door was kicked open, and dozens of bodyguards in black suits swarmed in, surrounding me. Who are you looking for? I demanded, my voice trembling. No one answered. I bolted for the back door, but as I rounded the corner, I ran straight into a solid chest. A familiar scent of cedar filled the air. I stumbled back and fumbled for my phone. Just as I dialed for help, a sharp pain shot through my wrist, and my phone clattered to the ground. My hands were bound behind me with a leather belt, and I was pulled into a hard embrace. A voice I hadn't heard in years, yet knew instantly, whispered in my ear, "Stella, have you had a good few years?" It was a simple greeting, but the chilling undertone made my blood run cold. "Adrian," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, "we broke up. This is Australia. You can't just do this." A cold laugh echoed behind me. "We broke up. Did I agree to that? And besides, what if I do?" Just then, my phone, still on the ground, connected. A dispatcher's voice could be heard. Adrian picked it up and held it to my ear, a low, arrogant chuckle in his throat. "Go on, sweetheart, tell him the address, but you have to wonder, before the police get here, how many times do you think I can ruin you?" Adrian put me and my daughter on his private jet and flew us back to Hong Kong. Back in his penthouse, he and Ruby stared at each other. "Mommy," Ruby said, pointing at him, "who is this ugly uncle?" I was at a loss for words. Adrian pulled out a mirror. "I'm ugly. Why don't you take a look at who you resemble? Like Max." Ruby was the spitting image of her father. She looked at the mirror, then back at Adrian's face, and huffed, "Mommy, your taste in men is terrible." She then hopped off her chair and marched into her new room. Adrian actually smiled. As he started to follow her, I blocked his path. "What are you going to do to her? She's just a child." I had no idea if he was married now or what his intentions were. He pushed my hand away. "What do you think I'm going to do?" He sighed. "Tuck her into bed." By the next morning, Ruby's attitude toward him had completely changed. "Old man," she announced, "you promised we'd go see Princess Elsa this weekend." Adrian pinched her chubby cheek, his tone surprisingly gentle. "Okay, whatever you say." I sent Ruby off for breakfast and decided to have it out with him. "I will not give you custody of Ruby." "I know," he said, his face blank, "and you can't keep me locked up forever. I'm not your caged bird anymore. I will run away the first chance I get." He fell silent, then stepped aside. "You don't have to run. You can go wherever you want. If you don't like it here, I'll find you another place. Just don't go too far. Ruby knows I'm her father now, and even as her mother, you don't have the right to keep her from him." I was stunned. He wasn't going to imprison me. I was suspicious, but he was right. I couldn't stop Ruby from seeing her father. I left with Ruby that day, refusing his offer of a new apartment. After we settled in, I tried to call Nora, but her phone was off. Adrian had promised he hadn't taken her. I grew more anxious with each passing day. Meanwhile, Adrian showed up at my door every single morning and evening. The excuse was always the same. "I'm here to see Ruby." Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. "Adrian, what do you want? You must be married to Isabel by now. I know it was wrong of me to hide Ruby from you, but I never expected you to take responsibility. You have your own family. Can't you just leave us alone?" He stared at me, confused. "Who told you I was married? And what does this have to do with Isabel?" I didn't know how to explain the tangled mess of my assumptions. It felt pointless. The misunderstanding had taken root 3 years ago and had grown into something irreparable. "Forget it," I said, turning to close the door. He blocked it. His gaze was sharper than I'd ever seen it, as if trying to bore a hole through my heart. "Stella," he said, his voice low and intense, "you are going to explain this to me, now." And so, I told him everything about that night, about Isabel showing up and what she said. His face darkened. "I was very drunk that night," he said finally, "but I know I got into Victoria's car. Why Isabel was the one to bring me home, I have a guess, but now isn't the right time to tell you." It was the same kind of evasion I'd heard before. Back then, I knew my place and didn't push, but hearing that same excuse after all these years, I couldn't help but laugh bitterly. "You don't have to tell me, Adrian. We're nothing to each other anymore, besides being Ruby's parents." I showed him the door. A few days later, Nora called me from a local number. "Stella," she whispered, "can you come on a family reality show with me?" It turned out Leo had found her, taken her phone, and was threatening to fight for custody unless she agreed to do the show with him. My old agent had also been looking for a small show for my comeback. I asked Ruby, and she was excited. So, I agreed, but when we arrived on set, I realized my mistake. This wasn't a show about moms and their kids. It was about the whole family. And to my horror, Adrian was there. "Old man," Ruby yelled, running to him. "Don't be scared. I'll protect you today." Adrian shot me a knowing look. "Okay, Daddy's counting on you." The show was a live broadcast. The first question from the audience was for Nora and Leo. "Are you currently married?" "No," Leo admitted. Then he looked at Nora and said with a self-deprecating smile, "You could say I was dumped." The comments section exploded with accusations against Nora. Then, the host turned to me. "We are not in a relationship," I said calmly into the camera. He wanted to keep me as his mistress, and I refused. The host nearly choked on his water. The live chat went wild. "What's Mr. Shaw's side of the story?" the host stammered, recovering. Adrian took the mic, his expression unreadable. "She's mostly right. She'd rather spend her money on young models than let me provide for her." The studio fell silent. The rest of the show was a disaster. We were asked what we couldn't stand about each other. Nora accused Leo of being hung up on his old flame. He accused her of making it up. I accused Adrian of using our daughter to get to me. He accused me of abandoning him for 3 years without a trace. It was an absolute train wreck, and the audience loved every second of it. The final question was, "What are your feelings for each other now?" Nora remained silent. Leo answered without hesitation, "I want her to give me another chance. I'll love her and our son with everything I have." The microphone was passed to me. I smiled at the camera. "May the mountains keep us apart and the oceans keep us distant. Be well." I saw a flicker of pain in Adrian's eyes, as if my words had reopened an old wound. He raised the mic to his lips, looked directly at me, and said one word, "Mary." The show's clips went viral. The rumors about Leo and Serena were debunked, and the public turned on her. But just as the internet was buzzing about Leo's on-air proposal, a new headline took over. Hong Kong's Shaw and he families announce engagement. The photo showed Isabel as the bride, to-be. My chest tightened with a familiar ache. So that was it. No wonder Adrian had disappeared after the show. He was busy with his engagement. For a moment, when he'd looked at me on stage and said, "Mary," I had actually believed him. How foolish. Tears streamed down my face. Ruby came to my side. "Mommy, why are you crying?" I shook my head. "It's nothing, sweetie. Mommy just wants to go back to Australia. But if we do, you won't be able to see your daddy anymore." She kissed my cheek. "Let's go back, Mommy." The call from Stella came just as the board meeting ended. He had finally wrested control of the company from his sister, Victoria. Everyone thought they were close, but Adrian knew the truth. She had been trying to sabotage him, and worse, for years. To protect himself, he had to keep Stella, his one weakness, away from her. He never thought she would leave. He spent 3 years searching for her, with no luck. Then he saw her in that street interview, with a little girl who looked just like him. He understood then. He accelerated his plans to take down Victoria. And now, today, it was finally over. He was free. He eagerly answered the phone, but it was Ruby's tiny, angry voice. "Old man, if you don't come back, Mommy's going to run away again. I have to teach you how to win your wife back. Are you even trying?" He hung up, and his car tore out of the parking garage, racing toward the airport. I called Nora to say goodbye. She was all for coming with me until I heard Leo's voice in the background, followed by some muffled sounds. I smiled and hung up, texting her instead, "Cherish what you have. This time, I'm going alone." I could see that Leo truly loved her, and she still had feelings for him. At the airport, Ruby kept complaining of a stomach ache but refused to take any medicine. The final boarding call was announced. "What are you waiting for?" I snapped, frustrated. "I'm waiting for me," a deep voice said from behind. "Stella, you said you wouldn't run. Are you trying to leave me again?" I turned to see Adrian, his face exhausted, his eyes bloodshot. My daughter had betrayed me, but how could I blame her? "Congratulations on your wedding," I said, my voice thick. "I'll go by myself." I turned to leave, but he grabbed my wrist and pulled me into his arms. "I'm not engaged to Isabel," he said, his voice muffled in my hair. "My cousin is. Stella, I will only ever marry you." He explained everything. How Victoria had used Isabel to try and control him. How he, in a ruthless move, had arranged for Isabel to marry his worthless playboy cousin instead. "I'm not a good person, Stella," he confessed. "She could have had a different life, but she hurt you. The plane that was supposed to take me away departed without me." He stayed with me that day, But a thorn of doubt remained in my heart. I reopened my bar in Hong Kong. Every night, Adrian would come, sit quietly until closing, and then walk me home. One night, Nora and Leo came to visit. All that devotion, Leo said, looking at Adrian sitting alone at a table, and he still got dumped like a lost puppy. 4 years. I'd see him drunk, holding that little woven bracelet, muttering your name. Later that night, as I was closing up, Adrian was passed out at the table. I draped my coat over him, my fingers brushing against his face. He woke with a start. Just as I was about to speak, the plate, glass window beside us shattered. A man with an iron bar smashed it again. Glass flew everywhere. A large body shielded me, and I heard the sickening thud of the bar hitting flesh. Warm blood splattered on my cheek. Adrian smiled at me, a river of blood pouring from his head, staining his face crimson. Adrian, I screamed. I saw the attacker get into a van, and in the back seat, I saw the triumphant, smiling face of his sister, Victoria. At the hospital, I paced outside the operating room, my world collapsing. Nora held me tight. He'll be okay, Stella. He hasn't married you yet. He won't die. Leo returned from a call. The bar's security cameras caught everything. Victoria won't get away with this. Finally, the light above the door went out. The doctor gave a nod, and I could breathe again. During his recovery, Adrian was the most demanding patient. He was paralyzed, needing me for everything. Wifey, I'm thirsty. Wifey, feed me some fruit. Wifey, what now? I snapped. He looked at me with puppy dog eyes. I want a kiss. You want a punch is what you want. Can I have that instead? He asked, his eyes lighting up. I was saved by a phone call. Victoria had been arrested. In their investigation, the police had uncovered another crime she'd committed, a murder. 4 years ago, cornered, she had made one last desperate attempt on Adrian's life. When I told Adrian, he wasn't surprised. It's not the first time she's tried to kill me. That's why I never wanted you to meet her. She's insane. He looked down. But I'm sorry. I didn't give you the security you deserved. I failed you and Ruby all those years you were gone. Stella, I think I love you even more than I realized. The thorn that had been lodged in my heart for so long was finally, gently, pulled out. Tears rolled down my cheeks. He pulled me into an embrace. Silly girl, from now on, we have all the time in the world, if you'll give me the chance. Outside the hospital window, the sunset was a brilliant, fiery red. Our new story was just beginning. Who decided that being kind meant being silent? If you've ever had to silence your own voice to keep the peace, or dim your light so others could feel bright, let me know in the comments that you're done playing small. Your truth has a right to take up space, and their karma is long overdue. Subscribe to Red Karma for more stories of unapologetic power. It's your turn to write the ending.